Once your case is filed, you're going to have to attend what's called a meeting of creditors. It's also referred to as a 341 meeting from Section 341 of the Bankruptcy Code. That meeting of creditors is an opportunity for your creditors to come and ask you questions about the debt that you've listed and the assets that you've listed in your petition and scheduled statements. The 341 meeting, however, is usually attended only by the trustee. Most creditors never show up to those meetings. There are a couple of exceptions. R.C. Willey is usually always there, but most of your creditors won't. So the credit card companies, the attorneys that have been suing you, they won't be there to ask questions 9 times out of 10. The trustee, on the other hand, will ask you some questions. They're going to put you under oath, and they're going to want to see your picture ID and your Social Security card, the original, so you'll need to bring those with you. They're also going to want to see your most recent pay statement, the one that you got just before the meeting. They're also going to want to see your bank statement, the bank statement that covered the date that we filed your case. They're going to look at that date to see what you have in your bank account. If you have money in there, they're allowed to take those funds and use them to pay creditors. And so the balance, if it's more than, say, $50 to $100, is likely available to pay creditors. So we've talked about that. That's something that if you have questions on, please give me a call. The other concerns that they're going to raise, of course, are going to be property concerns. They have statutory questions that they're going to ask you. Number one, do you have land or real property? And if you do, how did you evaluate the value of that property? If you don't, have you ever owned real property and what did you do with it? They're looking to see if there are assets that they can take and sell. I want to remind you that you have a homestead exemption of $30,000 of each of you over and above what you may owe on the property. They're going to ask about vehicles. Again, if you have debt against those vehicles, they're allowed to take and sell those vehicles if in fact you have equity over and above what you owe and over and above your $3,000 exemption on that vehicle. The rest of the debt they're not too concerned about. They're really looking for things that they can take and sell. And so we've already gone through the things that may be at risk, and we've talked about those items. If the trustee asks you to have the vehicle appraised, or they want to send a realtor out to your home to have it looked at to determine if the value is correct, you have an obligation to cooperate with the trustee on those issues. But once the meeting is over, if there are no assets available, 60 days later you're going to get your discharge. If there are assets the trustee has concerns and questions about, then you do have an obligation to cooperate. Understand you will probably still get the discharge in 60 days, but the case will not be closed and the discharge does not affect the trustee. Trustee still has a right to liquidate those assets, and you have an obligation to cooperate. The last issue has to do with tax returns. If the trustee asks you for a copy of your tax returns, even though you may not have filed them yet, you have to provide them. If you are entitled to a refund and the trustee asks you to turn those refunds over, understand that you have to turn those refunds over. They are not yours to spend. If you do have questions about any of the things we've talked about, again, feel free to call me and we can talk about it in more detail. If this has been helpful to you, we do have more videos that you can view. We'd also like you to maybe call us for an appointment. If you call us now, we can go ahead and set up a time for you to come in. We can meet with you and see if we can alleviate some of the pain and distress that you're going through. Or you can visit our website where you can get a little bit more information there as well.